This time we'll talk about Helm, how we can use Helm with AKS. So in a nutshell, Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes, which means that when you build an application, you may be deploying multiple different kinds of application in multiple different deployments within multiple different services and then tie them together. There could be other things like your persistent volume claims, persistent volume, etc., which are related to those workloads. You can even also have Kubernetes secrets or config map, which will load the environment variable for you. So it's basically a complete end-to-end package for your whole application. And if you want a single command to deploy everything what you need, you probably would go the Helm way. So we call it Helm charts. So first thing first, what you need is a Helm CLI to be installed locally. So you can go to docs and then find the installation instructions. So it'll give you a list of instructions. Or you can use the snapped option to go and search for the Helm workload in the snapcraft.io, and you choose the Helm in deployment here. So you go and then say, I go to Snapcraft and I search for Helm. If you go and find the Helm, over here you click on that, and then inside that page you go a little down, you find the distribution you are using, that's Ubuntu, and then you basically go ahead and install the Helm chart by copying this command into your machine. So that's what I've done already. Now once you do that, what it looks like, if you run this Helm command, it shows you the Helm options, right? That means the CLI is installed in the local machine. So that's fine. Now, what Helm really does is that it allows you to build the Helm chart into various different places. So one of the ways by which people can tell that if I say Bitnami Helm chart, then you will find that it is available in bitnami.helm, and then this Helm chart. So you can see that there are many different solutions you can download and install from Bitnami, right? They are basically container-based images and build a solution. So if you go to the Kubernetes, you find that list of Helm charts available. For example, if you want to go and install the Docker WordPress, you have that WordPress installation instruction. Now, so the Bitnami uses this chart repository. So if we just use this chart repository URL, it will give me an XML error. But if I go to this chart homepage, it will guide me to go to the GitHub. So that's where all the charts lives. So you can see that the charts are available in GitHub. And once you know that this is the URL, what you can do, you can just copy this and run it in your console. So if you come back to the console where you have that Helm CLI installed, you see that it is now configuring the Bitnami repo for your local Helm. So now what happens once you have that ready, you will be able to basically um, search things over here. So is it done? Okay. So now if I go ahead and say Helm search, okay, repo Bitnami. Sorry, I just did not type the right thing. So Helm search Bitnami. So it will basically go ahead and search no repositories. So let me search this, see what all thing we have. So let me run the previous command that associating, I think that did not work. So repo add should be able to add the repo. And once this is completed, then I'll be able to search the Helm repo over here. So what it is doing essentially, it is trying to basically connect into that. So let me switch to a different window where this could work. Is my Cloud Shell. So let me go to my Azure portal and I say that I want to open the Cloud Shell and I go into the full screen mode of the Cloud Shell. Okay, and then run the same command I'm running. So that is Helm repo add bitnami. Okay, so let me load this, or I can say shell.azure.com. So that's a Cloud Shell in a dedicated browser. So this browser connects to my Cloud Shell and I point to the bash, not on PowerShell. Once this is kind of done, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add that. But let me see what happens here. Bitnami is added. Okay, now it is added. Should be able to search in the repo called Bitnami. So if that repo is successfully added, which has happened just now here in my local machine, now it'll show me the list of Helm charts I can install from this repo. So that's the first thing you need to do. Initialize a Helm chart repository in your local CLI. Once you have initialized that, you just get to see the list of things. You can even search, right? So when you have such a big list, it's really difficult to find things. So if you say Helm search, and then you just say repo bitnami. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it will search through the repo of bitnami and then give you the list of charts, right? Let's see what happens. So it takes some time while I just would like to or prefer to use this Cloud Shell that's faster and things are up to date. So if you happen to use something like local, you need to make sure all your CLI version, etc., are up to date. Sometimes they are off behind, and then if that is the case, then it won't work as expected. So let me see. Yeah, so it is showing up some lists. So let's not go into the nitty-gritty of the search thing. So, but you can search out of this huge list of things. We will not be doing that. What we will do, we'll pick up a chart, random chart. That is MySQL. So you see that there is a chart called MySQL, that is Bitnami MySQL. And if I want to install this chart, so I just copied the name. So what I can do, I can say Helm repo update. If I do so, the repo will be updated. That's the first thing we need to do. Hang tight while we grab the latest from your chart repository. So it will take whatever latest is and then update my repository based on that list. Once that thing is done, what you can do, you can now run the install command to install the MySQL. Okay, so what MySQL will do, it'll use the kubectl and point to the same cluster which this console is pointing to right now at this point in time. So if you say k get nodes, you just need to make sure that my Kubernetes k is the alias for kubectl. So that means kubectl get nodes is pointing to a cluster which is running somewhere in the cloud. You can point to any cluster even if it's local. That doesn't matter. So it is pointing, that's active. So everything else will happen here. So if you say k get pod, you will see a list of pods if there is any to the default namespace. If you don't see any, then there's nothing available right now at this point in time, which is also okay. Now we can say that Helm install with the ran the update command just to make sure that it is updated. And I say that Bitnami MySQL. and one I can say generate name. So this will generate just a random name. Do I not need that? So if I just run that, that's why. So I always type help instead of Helm, generate name, and if I run that, it should be going ahead, deploy, set up things. So what it is going to do is that it is going to now install all the necessary things which MySQL requires. So you will find things like pod, things like deployment, services, everything will be configured and created just by running this single command. It's like a single click deployment, sort of that if you try to compare that with a Windows installer, right? So in the application space, if you have a desktop based application, and you want to deploy it in Windows, you just click on the installer and it'll ask you a couple of steps. You just say yes, 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 and it goes ahead and install that. Similar to that. So it's kind of packaged as a single package. And you can see that it is taking a bit longer. That's all right, but we can just. So what I'm going to do now, try out, is that I'm going to try out this Helm because it's a bit slow because of my local machine to my cloud shell. Okay, so if I say hmm, connect, it was just pointing to a different subscription, shell.azure.com. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so you can see that something has happened in here. So what had happened is that it went well. Okay, now which means that there was some activity which is successful. Okay, so you can see that the deployment is done. It is also giving us some information. So let's see what exactly Kubernetes did. So the Kubernetes did is it created setup pods. Now you have noticed earlier that we had no pods. So if I say k kubectl get pods or k get pod, it will give me the list of pods, this Kubernetes cluster, my local machine connected to. Now it will show you MySQL. Okay, so you will find a pod named MySQL. So what essentially it is doing, it is basically installing all the necessary components. Now, MySQL is one container, image coming from somewhere. In this case, it is clearly showing that it is coming from docker.io/bitnami, MySQL, whatever that is, right? So that's the place from where that image is coming. Okay, so there's a problem. So let me just run this, try to see if this network issue is still persist. So there is a network problem, but this has been deployed. So let me quickly check why this local machine is behaving a little bit strange, and can we use this internet thing to do that. So let me check the internet of my local machine. This is purely the internet issue. Okay. Okay. So it stopped almost like now. Just to make sure that speed is all right and the internet is showing, I want to make sure that that we are able to see the thing, right? So what I am going to do now, I'm going to check again if it is able to connect. No, it is not, which is what interesting. but let me just pause for a while. Yeah, now you can see that it is back again. There is a pod running, and then say deploy. You will find a deployment also created. So that is MySQL. So I identified that the name, there is no deployment, right? And say kget svc. Let's see if there is any service available. Let's see if there is any service. Yes, there are two services. One is headless, one is something. So you have the cluster IP and the headless has nothing, right? So you don't see anything over here. And then get secret should be a secret because the root password generally is created inside a secret. So you can see that there is a MySQL secret, okay? And there is a MySQL something like that token. So you have got a couple of things which basically is available here, right? So you have all of them created by default. Now, what essentially it has done is that it has created a list of building blocks by using one single command. If I run, let's say, Helm show chart Bitnami MySQL. Now this is a MySQL ready for production. So you can actually point this MySQL from your application and start storing the data as possible. Okay, so if I just run this command, what will happen, it will show me, did I type help or Helm? Yeah, Helm. So that's fine. So if you run this command, what it will do, it will show you the thing which this has to do. So it has a Bitnami tree, MySQL, and then all other details. So what is the keyword and all these things. So this is the details about that. Now, if you want to know more about how that looks like, you can copy this URL, go to the GitHub and read it. This is all open source. Now I have a chart installed in my Kubernetes cluster through Helm. Okay, so how do I identify that this is through Helm, this is not through Helm? You can actually say Helm list, and that will show you the list of Helm charts you have installed in your local cluster. So that list basically is the list of Helm charts. Now, I'm not sure why this is not showing, but it should actually be showing the list of charts you have installed. So it should show the MySQL, and you will be able to delete that from this list once this shows. So how do you uninstall that? You say Helm uninstall, and then the name of the chart you have there. So the chart which is installed from this, right, you can see that um, that's the name of the chart. You can run it here and say uninstall, and it's gonna go ahead and uninstall this chart, right? So that's how you can clean up everything. So including pod, services, secrets, whatnot, it required, all of them will be installed. So you can see that it says that it's clearly uninstalled from your local machine once you are done with that. So that's a little bit about how Helm can be used to package the application through a chart, and you can also build your own chart for your own application. Probably we will cover it later point in time. That's more towards building Helm chart, but this is what about using the Helm chart which people already have built. So you can also package your application through Helm chart and deploy it through Helm chart, right? So this was helpful and you enjoyed this. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.